Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. It's great to be here. Another session, another event, another live podcast on my Rehab Cafe.
For sure. Cool. So, welcome, everybody. I'm gonna just make sure that I've posted it to the different channels. See, I haven't posted it there. Posting the link. So, whoever wants to jump on, you're welcome to do that. You can just click the link that I've posted on the various channels if you want to participate, or if you have anything to say, or if you have any questions that you want to ask. And before we get started, Bobby, I just want to quickly go through this quick intro. Um, okay, so Myriad Cafe is a community of like-minded individuals that are actively pursuing a process of self-discovery. The community is located within a private and unsearchable or secret group on Facebook. There are two privacy settings for Facebook groups. Public, so anyone on or off Facebook can see what's in the group and what they post. And private, only members can see who's in the group and what they post. So our group is a private group, and the group has an additional setting activated, which also makes it a secret Facebook group. So this means that uh, it is a it is a private group which is completely hidden from non-members. Only members of the group can find it, and new members can only be added at the invite of admins. Nobody outside the group will be aware of its existence except where I speak about it here, and nobody can apply to join. So we broadcast live videos like this one to a few public channels, which I'll get into in a moment. The Myriad Cafe group has exclusive access to loads of content that isn't available on any of the Myriad public channels. The vast majority of the members on the group are patients that have been through the Myriad inpatient dual diagnosis rehab process. In a lot of ways, the group is structured as an aftercare program and is designed to keep individuals engaged in a program of recovery, or as we like to call it, a process of ongoing self discovery. What is MyRehab Helper? So, the MyRehab Helper is a Facebook profile that is essentially represented as a singular and personified version of a group of MyRehab mental health and addiction specialists. The Myriad Helper Facebook profile is a public profile, so anyone on or off of Facebook can see any of the content that the Myriad Helper posts. The Myriad Helper profile serves as somewhat of a window to the services that are offered to the Myriad community, the Myriad Cafe community. So normally a workshop, lecture, mutual self-help meeting that is broadcast as a live video to the Myriad Cafe group has its first 10 or 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes broadcast to the public channels like the Myriad Helper profile and the Myriad Facebook page. This is so that anyone who's not on the group, on the exclusive Myriad Cafe group, can benefit from some of the content that the Myriad Cafe group is generating, and so that they can get an idea of what the Myriad Cafe is all about before they make a commitment to joining. So for today's broadcast, we're currently broadcasting to the ARC Myriad Facebook page, the Myriad Helper Facebook profile, the Duly Diagnosed YouTube channel, and that's going to be for the first 10 to 20 minutes. And we're also broadcasting to the Myriad Cafe group, and that broadcast will see the live broadcast through to the end of the 50 or 60 minutes that the workshop takes. If you're a member of the Myriad Cafe group, make sure that you're watching via the correct channel so you don't get cut off when the live feed ends on the public channels. Anyone on or off Anyone on the public or private channels is welcome to jump on and participate in the workshop. The link will be in the comments, and you can click on it, and it will let you join via the video or audio only, whatever suits you. If you don't want to participate via video or audio, you can also participate by posting a comment on the channel that you're watching on. You can also phone in if you like on 082 886 3996. The number is shown below in the ticker banner at the bottom of the screen. So I hope that took me about 3 minutes.
Let me ask just Ryan, can you post it right now to my anonymous addiction at My Truth About AA as Bobby sees it private
Um,
group right now after we said all that?
yeah, I have shared it to your group, eh? So wait, I think it said it's having trouble broadcasting via that channel. So let me actually do that. Hold on 1 second, Bobby. I'll do it now.
Be patient,
Share.
ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get it over to anonymous addiction private group right now, so you can see the live first 20 minutes.
Okay, you just got to give it permission on your end. It's shared.
And it's be coming up, and then I'm going to prove it. Okay, so Ryan, let me. I just want to share something. Well, I don't see it yet, but that's okay. I just want to tell the group that Ryan originally had the name Changing Lanes. And me personally, I really, I wasn't too keen about it. I asked Ryan, I like to make changes, and I put it to Ryan. I said I'd like to change it to, we are the solution, freedom from addiction, and going beyond recovery. And Ryan agreed. He said, "Yeah, Bobby, yeah, let's do it." So that's why we did the name change. So just for everybody saying it, and this thing is about change. That's what it's all about. So change is good. There's nothing wrong with change. So we're kind of tweaking it along the way. This thing's going to evolve. I don't know
So
which way it's going to go, but hopefully it's going to evolve into a great and beautiful place.
we're changing lanes in terms of the name.
Yeah, it's not called changing lanes anymore. It's called we are the solution.
Yara, that's very strange. The link should work. So Yara says the link's not opening. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Look, Yara,
Okay.
if you want to participate via the comments, you can. But I'm not sure why it is that the link isn't working. It should be working here. But anyway, Bobby, let's move on quickly here. So we wanted to talk about a couple of things. I think the first thing on the agenda was rock bottom.
Yeah, I think you watched another channel and kind of stirred some interest in that name hitting rock bottom, hitting bottom, one more bottom. I don't know if it's from Alcoholics Anonymous. Maybe it is. Probably is. That's because that's when I first heard it. You have to hit rock bottom. What does it mean? Brian?
Sorry, but the internet connection seems to be breaking up a little bit. But I think if I heard you asked, what do I think rock bottom means?
Yeah. Yes.
So, look, I think, hi, Arlene. Shout out to Arlene. Thanks for the comment. Look, Bobby, personally, for me, the first time I came into a process of self-discovery and I got involved with the 12 steps and I got introduced to that by a treatment center. I really was in bad shape. So, I went psychotic a couple of times. I was hearing things. I wasn't seeing things yet, but I think it was going down that road. I was blacking out on a daily basis. So I would drink a lot and I would black out on a daily basis and sort of, when I came to the next day and when I woke up, eventually I'd walk outside and half my car was missing, for example, and things like that were happening, and I got to a point where I made the commitment to stop over and over and over again, and I put things in place to try and sort of manage my using. So I would make sure I had a cheap phone, for example, because I knew if I had an expensive phone, well, it was just becoming expensive because I kept on handing my phone into the dealers for drugs, because I would make sure that in those days we used to use checkbooks, and I used to cash a check, and sort of for just the right amount, so that I try to manage the quantities and bought the right amount of drugs or the right amount of alcohol, and make sure I didn't have access to a bank card. And anyway, so I just got to a point where it was very obvious to me that I couldn't stop despite the commitments that I was making. And I often make the analogy that if my grandmother drank a bottle of brandy like I was doing on a daily basis, but if she drank a bottle of brandy, she'd also end up behind the wheel doing like donuts with the car and making a bit of a nuisance of herself, right? But the difference between me and her is the next day she'd get a fright and probably never do it again, and that just wasn't happening for me. So my lowest point was when I was, geez, it's a long story, but I ended up with a brain injury, a serious brain injury from a fight that I'd gotten into. And I was on the floor in like a pool of blood, and my old man came and he sort of picked me up and dragged me off to the hospital. And I managed to, I was making a scene in the hospital. And anyway, he dropped me off at home, and I got in my car and drove to town and picked up drugs. And I was driving around with this dealer in the middle of the night with blood all over me, and I ran out of fuel in the car, and it was just a nightmarish sort of scenario, and that was in a lot of ways what I feel like was a rock bottom for me. Um, so it was probably one of the most painful experiences that I'd gone through. It didn't stop me from using because I was in the hospital for the weekend, and when I got out on the Monday, I was drinking again, and that was just scary. So Bobby, to be honest with you, I think it could have gotten a lot worse. It could have sort of gone down. It, I could have gotten into more trouble, and things could have been a lot worse. But that for me was a nightmarish experience. That kind of it prompted me to sort of start asking for help, like because it was obvious that I couldn't do it anymore. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that sort of answers the question or.
Well, that's your answer. And that's what this event, and this podcast, and this meeting, you want to call it. I don't know what can label this. We're doing anything they want, but that's your take, which is great. Everybody's going to have their own take. That's the beauty of this podcast because we're going to come from different messages and different language,
Mm,
and that's what I'm trying to kind of put out there. Different language. Me personally, I don't like this rock bottom. You got to hit rock bottom. You got to hit the bottom. Your bottom, my bottom, yours is better. Blah blah blah.
mm,
When I used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, it was kind of weird, because the person with the greatest and biggest and best rock bottom story always got the most claps. Wow! So it's almost like in Alcoholics Anonymous, we encourage the greatest rock bottom because your story can be so greater and can be so better because your story, your bottom, isn't good enough. You know,
mm,
because I'm coming into these meetings, and I didn't do that, but I'm going to tell you why I didn't do it. But I heard, like, even my daughter, she used to come in, she used to say, well, my bottom really wasn't that great. And I can talk about this right now to her because we've been talking. And she could say, well, my bottom wasn't that great because I hear other stories and it's so much greater, so I have a lot more to go. Okay. So comparing other people's bottoms is, is a good thing and a bad thing. For me, I looked at other people's damage that they created, all the consequences, the seriousness of their problematic drinking or drugging, and I kind of looked at it as like a crystal ball. Like, well, maybe I can see into the future if I keep on doing this, so I'll use that to my benefit. But actually, I don't like the word bottom. This is what I like. I like, when did I say yes to help? You know, at
mm.
what point did I say I would like some help? Is that bottom? Or is that just that's saying I'm ready, I have a desire, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm seeking help. Yes for help. Like when my wife asked me, she said, are you ready to have a friend come over and talk with you? And I said, yes. I said, yes. So that's why I like, we are the solution, because that raised my hand and said yes to help. Okay, so does that mean, let's go into a little deeper and a little further. Does that mean that if I have a lapse or I have a relapse, I'm going to create another bomb and it's going to be worse? No, that's not true. Sometimes it is, but not all the time. Because I've heard stories where people have lapses back in, and they didn't lose everything. They just had a desire to go back on track. They didn't lose anything. What I really feel that it's in the sense that somebody has a lapse or a relapse, they go back out and they have to pick up another coin.
Mm,
Now, what is this? What is this coin? What message is this new coin giving me? You know, that nothing I did prior in anything. Why do I have to count and get coins because I had a lapse and a relapse? Because most of the time we all have lapses and relapses. Before I came in, I had lapses and relapses constantly.
mm,
Okay, So I personally don't like that rock bottom. I think it's a 12-step ideology kind of, concept. But I believe that we can change whenever we want to.
Well, Bobby, if I may just say something, I think you've frozen up there a little bit, but if you can hear me, so we've got a comment. Hi, Jenna, thanks for your comments. I'm going to post it now. But from my point of view, my rock bottom wasn't like you say, Bobby. I mean, compared to some other people's rock bottom, I was like a saint, and it wasn't really definitely not as bad as many of the other people out there. But what I noticed is as well, I mean, like I think the word rock bottom is used by family members and people that love us more than it is by necessarily the people in the rooms, so to speak, right? And that sort of bothers me because I mean, you get somebody that ends up on the street. I read a story the other day about this guy. He's on the street. He's been on the street all his life. He's like getting close to 40. He's been using heroin, which is up there with the most hardcore of the hardcore drugs, right? And he's been doing that all his life. Like, where's his rock bottom? What does he have to get run over by a car or like, and I'm not talking about his own personal rock bottom. I'm talking about his rock bottom from sort of like my objective or somebody else's experience. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm sorry, perspective. From his own personal perspective, I don't know if he's necessarily ever going to have a rock bottom, so to speak. But let's look at Jenna's comment. She's put a cool comment here. So Jenna says, "I hate the word rock bottom. Keep thinking I was there, couldn't get worse, and it still didn't stop. It still didn't stop me, and unbelievably, it still got worse. Nothing scared me or hurt me enough to make me stop. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. If I think now of the things that I did and allowed and put the people who loved me through, I don't believe there is a rock bottom, because if it was true, I would have stopped when I lost my kids or when I got sold and raped or when I stole my father's car, even after." Can see the rest of it. I can't. It's a long comment, but thank you for that, and thank you for sharing that, Jenna. That's very brave for sharing that, and I think you're right. Things. I remember sort of. I think I was witness some of that experience that you went through. I remember you arriving at ARC, and sort of all of that had happened, and I was quite angry with some of the people that were involved. So my heart goes out to you, and it always will, because I saw what you went through. Any comments, Bobby?
No, that's great. She doesn't like the word. It's almost like okay, rock bottom with sexual addictions, or rock bottom with any other type of addiction, or rock bottom with financial troubles, or you know. Well, we live this life like it's called self-discovery. If you join us on this road to self-discovery, we're discovering things about ourselves. It really it's really not about alcohol, drugs, addiction. It's really not that. It's about our thinking. Like when I come into a meet, it's about like self-esteem, or am I important, or it's about like loving and caring ourselves. When I go in, like young kids go into meetings, and maybe they have problematic, habitual use of alcohol or drugs or any other type of addiction. So they go into a meeting and they're hearing all these war stories. What are they thinking? They're actually thinking, shit, I can't fit into this group. I don't story is, I don't. It's all this process of self-discovery isn't about a story. It's about going beyond the story. It's about going beyond this addiction recovery. It's about the self-discovery, about the shadow work, and discovering the truths about the society, ourselves, the world, and the universe. So it's more than just rock bottom. I don't like it.
I hear you. So, I mean, so if I'm hearing you correctly, Bobby, I think so. If I can try and rephrase it, maybe are you saying sort of that we shouldn't let that story, that rock bottom story, so to speak, define us?
Right. Exactly. It's labeling us. It's like this is where you were. It's comparison. It's like I'm comparing it with somebody else. Okay, so I want to be in. It's like almost like Alcoholics Anonymous is giving me permission to go down the rabbit hole a little more, a little further, because if we went into 20 rehab, he did this and he did that, or she did this and this that. I feel like, well, man, I might not even fit in. It's to lowest rock bottom.
Mm. Thanks for your comment there, Jenna.
Well, it happened, and I
Yeah,
had accepted.
she's saying that.
You can't hear the signal, and the signal's breaking up on your end. I
Mm,
sound fine on my end. That's a
it's been
shame.
breaking up intermittently, Bobby, on mine as well. So, okay, cool. So, Yana, I see your question there. I'm gonna switch over to the private group in a minute. But I think we wanted to move on to another topic, Bobby, 13 stepping. I think we were going to have a quick chat about that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I just posted on Anonymous Addiction at My Truth About A, as Bobby sees it, private group. Monica Richardson, she did the film, the 13-step film. You can get information from there. But here, can you hear me, or am I breaking up still?
It's intermittent, Bobby. We can hear you okay now. I can at least hear you now, but it breaks up a little bit.
So if I talk a little slower, it's a little it doesn't break up as much.
That should help.
Look, Alcoholics Anonymous allows it's court ordered from the government, and a lot of people are coming out of jails and institutions, and court ordered. So if somebody has a sex addiction, they're going to know where to go. Okay, they're going to go after the most vulnerable people. And when we first come in Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a lot of vulnerable people, and I consider it's time we can become victims to perpetrators. So that's real, but that's real in every group there is around the world. It's Alcoholics Anonymous is no different than even a church group. Somebody could go into a church group that's a sexual predator and prey on women and men.
I think Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics or the 12 steps in general, because they're so well established, and they're so sort of like widely available to people. I think you're quite right. There's generally three types that kind of end up in there. It's the guys who sincerely want to get help and sort of they're a little bit cynical and they got their eyes open, so to speak. And they're generally speaking, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but it's generally sort of like males, I would say, that have got a bit of life experience in terms of getting screwed over and stuff like that. They got their eyes open, right? And then you get sort of I see very vulnerable people going into the rooms. So that, and they're generally females, I would say, because they're generally very compassionate kind of people and people pleasing and that kind of thing. And they are taken sort of advantage of by the third group, which I think are I wouldn't say the majority in the fellowships, if you want to call them that, but I would say they're the antisocial types who go in, so they don't have a conscience. They go in there to not necessarily, they don't go in there with the intention to exploit people, but they do it because that's just how they roll, right? Um, and they can become very adept at that and very good at it, and sort of, um, you know, really sort of create it becomes a platform for them to exploit people. And I've just seen that over and over and over again. And I think, Jenna, that's, if I remember correctly, that was some of your experience as well. Go ahead, Bobby.
Psychological, physical, mental abuse goes on all the time. People come
You're breaking up, Bobby.
well, I'm gonna have to fix that up next time. But we're look, they bring in courts and they go for the vulnerable, narcissistic, gaslighting predators that know where to go and how to manipulate the mind and use that against women or men.
Yeah, I think especially people who don't have much life experience. So when I say that, like generally youngsters and generally females, I see getting exploited a lot. Definitely, 100%. I've seen it over and over again, and I think it's it can be a very dangerous place for people to go, and that's what we're trying to do by creating this Myriad Cafe community, is a safe space that's got somewhat of a degree of we're monitoring it and we're watching it. And if people want to get involved, or if people look like they're trying to exploit people, you need to sort of speak out and contact me directly or contact the group, and we can talk about that and see if you're right about what it looks like is going on. So in this country, Bobby, it's not very often that people are sort of court ordered to a 12-step fellowship. It's generally, if they are court ordered, it's generally they're court ordered into a treatment center. And some of the time those treatment centers, or most of the time those treatment centers, are very 12-step orientated, which is basically, I suppose, the same thing. So they are kind of, in a way, via the treatment center section into a 12-step process. But I think we can really sort of go into a bit more detail on that.
Yeah, look, I'm not denying, look, we all have sexual drives. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we first come into any type of program, we're vulnerable, and people know how to manipulate. We're looking for love. We're looking for comfort. We're looking for companionship. We're looking for all these beautiful things that these programs are supposed to be providing for us, and they can be manipulated.
So it happens on occasion at the center where people gravitate towards each other. So, and it actually had happened this weekend where, and our nurses are quite sharp there, but they are open for that kind of thing because it's a very strict rule and we don't tolerate, it's not allowed, okay? But it's something that happens, and we've got to watch out for it. And, if you think about somebody that really loves and cares for you, okay, if you're in a treatment in a process, you've just come from a place where it's, you've just been living in chaos. And so very likely so is the other person. And, if you're going to sort of put your needs for your need for companionship or whatever it is that you're looking for above the other person's need to get well, which generally excludes getting involved with somebody who's just come from a place of complete chaos, right? So you're not going to do that, but again, they're fresh in rehab, so they're not going to necessarily know that. So it's difficult, but yeah, getting involved with somebody in the fellowships or in rooms is a very bad idea, I would say. It's something that's really risky and should be cautious about that. Hey? Listen, Bobby, with that, I'm going to switch over to the private group. Hey, I see we've got a couple of questions from people in the Myriad Cafe. I'm going to just quickly do the intermission. Thank you to everyone on the public channels who have been watching. And we'll see you tomorrow evening if you want to, or tomorrow at 12. We've got a workshop on with Lario. So with that, I'm going to do the intermission. Thanks.